Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford talk about the huge future of Daggerheart and hint at the potential end of Candela Obscura and Illuminated worlds.
This sure has been fun, goodbye!
Before we dive into which of Critical Role's TTRPGs have a future at Darrington Press and which ones may not, why not take a second to hit those like and subscribe buttons to help us keep videos like this one coming. And then, let's talk about Critical Role's TTRPGs. Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford sat down for a fireside chat over on Beacon last night, and while a lot of the questions were personal in nature more than Daggerheart related, for example, we learned that Chris Perkins played an original D&D magic user who had 2 hit points, and whose only spell was ventriloquism, who died even faster than his iconic cameo as Spurt the Kobold in Critical Role Campaign 2. We did get a few questions that shed some light on how the duo was planning to approach the future of Daggerheart, and some pretty big hints that anything not related to Daggerheart, which has become a massive financial success for Critical Role and Darrington Press, seem to be backburnered or out of production until further notice. First off, when it comes to Daggerheart, Crawford and Perkins revealed that not only did they take feedback from The Void, the website that acts as the home of the official playtest for new classes, domains, ancestries, and everything else in the game, but they specifically shouted out their interactions with fans and players on Discord and Reddit as other contributing factors to the future of the Daggerheart system. That's a bold move in what can be the incredibly parasocial world of actual play fandom and TTRPGs, but it does show that they are taking in a lot of feedback on the system from as many sources as possible. The other thing they dropped, which a lot of people thought came off as a kind of a shot at D&D, who, to go off on a quick tangent, they carefully avoided using specifics of during the chat, with Perkins saying that his Rime of the Frost Maiden adventure was set in the frozen north of a world, with a dramatic pause after frozen north, instead of just naming the Forgotten Realm, so make of that omission what you will. But to get back on track, when asked about what they learned working at D&D that they could apply to Daggerheart, they said they'd figured out that in many ways less was more, and it was far better to spend more time, attention, and care on producing higher quality books and adventures than churning out as many as possible. So if that sounds like a shot at D&D's recent history of rushing out half-baked campaign settings like Spelljammer, Planescape, and poor Dragonlance, while trying to crank out other monthly releases, you would not be alone in that assumption. So expect less official Daggerheart releases, maybe even only 1 or 2 a year, but expect them to be big, high-quality source books and adventures with a lot of time and effort spent to get them right. But perhaps the biggest takeaway seemed to be that Darrington Press was all in on Daggerheart, and only Daggerheart at this point, with Illuminated Worlds and Candela Obscura firmly out of sight and out of mind at the company. When asked specifically for their thoughts on the Illuminated Worlds and Candela Obscura, the only TTRPG from Darrington Press to be released as part of Illuminated Worlds so far, Perkins and Crawford both said that they loved the setting of Candela, but Perkins immediately talked about potentially lifting that setting from Candela and having it show up somewhere else, and then they both went on to spend the rest of the answer talking about the graphic design of the book, and how they liked the cover and the interior art, and basically talked about anything but the future of the game or the system, sort of damning it with faint praise. If someone asked you what you think of what was supposed to be the second half of your TTRPG plan just a few years back, and you answer them with, "Well, I really like the graphic design and the layout they used in the book," and then move on to another question, it becomes pretty clear that their 2-system strategy from 2023 has clearly become a 1-system strategy for the publisher, and that system is obviously Daggerheart. Now, while they didn't come out and say, "We're done with Illuminated Worlds," by effectively skipping over that question, it's pretty clear where Darrington's priorities lie, and rightly so. Daggerheart is a money-making machine right now, and while we do not have official sales numbers for Candela, we can say in speaking with several of the largest game stores on the West Coast that they still have a good chunk of their original stock of Candela on shelves gathering dust, and industry magazines that track sales like IVC2 never really saw it crack their top 10, so don't be shocked if the only time you see Candela Obscura again is as a new frame in the Daggerheart setting, as Darrington seems completely dialed into a future that is fully focused on Daggerheart only. So what do you think? Are you sad about not getting more Illuminated World or Candela Obscura anytime soon, or are you just happy to get more awesome Daggerheart? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.